In today's 5-Minute Gardener, one of my favorites, African violets. Many people don't have them because they think that they're hard to care for, hard to grow. Our 5-Minute Gardener, Debbie Mounce from Harlow Gardens, joins us now with tips on growing beautiful African violets.
Hello again. There are certain flowers that conjure up images of our grandmothers, and certainly African violets is one of those flowers. Now, African violets have a reputation as being kind of difficult to grow. If you know what their needs are, they're not that tough to grow. Now, I've got a bunch of different colors here. They come in a wonderful range of colors, from whites to lavenders to dark purples to blues to ones with variegated color on their leaves, variegated color on their flowers. They're very versatile. There's a lot of different types. Now, one of the things that you need to know about African violets is there are specific products that really help with getting them to thrive. One is including the African violet soil, and there are African violet fertilizers specifically designed for the African violets. The other thing that I think that helps with African violets is using what they call a self-watering pot. Now, I have some self-watering pots here. Now, what that means is it's a two-piece pot. So this pot comes apart. So the water for the violet goes in this container, and then you plant your violet in this part, and the water, this sets down in the water, and the water seeps through here and keeps the root system of the violet evenly wet. So all you ever do is put water down in the bottom of this outer container. You don't have to water from the top. And fertilizing, they like a good steady fertilizer. So that means that every time you water your violet, if you don't have one of these pots, you can still water from the top, try not to get the leaves wet, but each time, whether it be in the pot or watering it through the top, through the soil, you want to use your African violet fertilizer, okay? The other thing is their location in your house. They really would prefer to have a northern facing window or an eastern facing window. I had really good luck at my house with violets when I put them near an east facing window with a sheer curtain over it, and that worked really well. Okay, in the studio, I'm going to show you how to propagate African violets and make more babies. All right, thanks for coming today.
All right, and she's here to show us how to propagate. But first of all, you don't necessarily need that pot, right?
You don't have to have that pot. You can just have it in a little plain pot. And it'll do fine. You want to water it, just be careful, as I said on the piece, not to get the leaves wet. You can kind of mush them out, basically, as in layman's terms. You can mush them out if you do that. You can put water in a saucer if you have it underneath and do it that way. That's the way I did it at my house. I didn't have a fancy schmancy pot at my house.
Yeah, I don't think Grandma did either.
I don't think so either.
Show us how to propagate this.
Okay, well, I got to put my eyeballs on here first.
Okay.
So what you do, you just take a leaf off the plant.
Break off a leaf.
You can break off a leaf, and you want to cut it on an angle.
Okay.
Get a little bit of an angle here, and then all you do is take your scissors and cut that stem about ½ an inch into the stem.
Okay.
And then what you do is you take that leaf and you plant it in African violet potting soil. Okay. And it'll take 10 to 12 weeks for you to know for sure if it's rooted out, because that's the time that it should start to putting on new leaves. And then it'll be 4 to 6 weeks after that that you should be getting some blooms on it.
Okay, I love African violets. I have them at home, and I have always thought that if you cut off the flowers once they're not looking as pretty as these are, that it brings more flowers out. Is that true?
Well, yeah, that's true of any flowering thing. You know, if they're going through their flowering cycle, and if they're down to their last little gasp of flowering and you cut off that flower, they may not regenerate. But especially in the beginning of the cycle, if you continue to what they call deadhead, meaning taking off the dead blooms, then that definitely will encourage more bloom. On almost anything in the horticultural world, it'll do that.
And also they start to lose their leaves underneath. Those are the ones that get kind of wobbly, and that's just natural, isn't it?
That's the normal growth. And sometimes sometimes you will see that people will come in, they'll bring an African violet into us, and it's got a stem this big, and and all the leaves and flowers are on top, and the whole thing's kind of leaning like this, looking a little tired, and they'll say, well, what do I do with this? And really, that may be the point to propagate.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
Start over.
Start over. All right, Debbie, I love them. They're gorgeous. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.